Hi everyone, my name is Hector Martinez. I am a Calexico native and I'm currently at Western University of Health Sciences. I'm a second year medical student. So the duties and someone in my position as a medical, I'll explain as a medical student first, is hitting the books, I've been studying to get into medical school for about 3 to 4 years prior to going into medical school. And now as a second year medical student, I actually have a final coming up this Friday. So you study almost every day. Your responsibility as a medical student is to know as much as you can so that when you go into rotations, you can be as knowledgeable and provide a safe care environment towards your patients. That is basically it, at least for medical students. Once you move into medicine and being a doctor, there's a lot of factors to being a doctor, not just being smart in school in your science classes. But the beautiful thing about being a doctor is that you are a person first. You deal with people on a daily basis. You treat them not only for their physical symptoms, but also for their state of mind. There is a bigger complex, or it's a multi-organ system that we're talking about here when we're dealing with a patient. There are sociological factors, from how they grew up, the things that they eat, their socioeconomical status. Everything that plays into their life is important to us as physicians. So we have to take that into account and not just see a patient as a set of symptoms, but as a set of different factors, and see how we can help them not only at that time, but in the near future as well. So to qualify to be a medical student, you need to do good in school. I can give you my personal story. I did not know I wanted to be a physician until I was 25. So before that, I achieved my Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering. And soon after that, after a couple of experiences in the work environment, I decided to go into medical school. And for that, you need a bachelor's degree. Within that bachelor's degree, you also need some prerequisites, which involve classes in biochemistry, biology, physics, chemistry, and English. There are very specific requirements that vary between school and school, so that's something that you do need to research. GPAs are often very competitive, but again, that also varies in school. And you have to take what as of now has been the hardest test of my life, the MCAT, which is the medical examination test.
What is your work schedule like?
So currently as a medical student, we have, on average, I would like to say about 6 to 7 hours of class a day from Monday through Friday. And we usually get examined every 2 or 3 weeks. But aside from that, that's watching the lectures, and you also have to study more for it. So I would say that on average, I probably study around 8 to 10 hours a day. About 5 days a week, because I do rest in between. You do need to rest, and I need to spend time with my family, with my friends, and everything. And then as a physician, it really depends on the profession that you go, because you can go to medical school for 4 years, and then after that, there are a lot of different branches that you can go into. So you can go into primary care, you can go into emergency medicine, you can go into surgery, into internal medicine. So it really depends. I would give you several examples. A primary care physician can have his office from 8 to 5, see patients, and that's it. He can have the weekend off if he wants, right? Or he can be working for the hospital as well. If you want to be an emergency medicine physician, you exclusively work for the hospital, and you work about 3 to 4 shifts a week. That's usually full time. Usually varies between 36 to 40 hours a week. And then after that, you go home. You're almost never on call. You don't have to come into the hospital unless it's an emergency and you want to cover for someone. But if you are, let's say, a cardiologist, or if you are a surgeon, a cardiologist could have his own office, his own private practice, and work from 8 to 5, but he's also on call with the hospital. So whenever there's an emergency, like let's say a patient with a heart attack, then they have to come in and evaluate the patient. So it comes with a little bit more, more territory and more hours. But at the end of the day, it depends on the specialty and what you're willing to do. That is I think it's a great story, especially because every time I say it in interviews, whether it is to get into medical school or different programs, it kind of amazes some people. So like I said, I did not know that I wanted to go into medicine until I was 25. I graduated from engineering school when I was 22, and then I worked as an engineer for a couple of years. Prior to that, I was a substitute teacher for 1 year. And then when I was an engineer, I decided to run for office in Calexico for a healthcare district. My initial motivation for that was to get the younger crowd involved in more like recreational activities and kind of like work towards a healthier community. And then after a couple of years, I saw that there is a lot that needs to be done, and we need a lot of more people with experience in the medical field in order to be running for these positions, which is what led me to go into medical school. Once I was part of that board, I saw the need, and I found the passion for medicine. And as soon as I found that calling, I started studying for it, and then I got into the school that I wanted, and here we are. I think that for now, that moment is going to come a little bit later because, I haven't been able to treat any patients just yet. But I will tell you of one experience. I was working for the hospital as a medical scribe. Obviously, I can't say any names or anything like that. But so a medical scribe, what it does is, what a scribe does is that they have to, they work alongside a physician and they take their notes, right? The patient history, the patient symptoms, examination, everything like that. But as I was working as a scribe, I was also working as a translator in Spanish because most physicians, at least here in the Valley, they do not speak Spanish. And as you guys know, here in the Valley, we have a lot of Hispanic population, right? So it was a very meaningful moment for me because it was the first time that I saw a patient die. So the meaningful moment here was that the patient's spouse did not speak English, so obviously the doctor could not communicate those news to them. So he asked me if I could do it for him, and so I did. I explained it in the best manner possible. The spouse had seen everything that we had done for the patient, and once I was done explaining, and the patient made their peace with what had happened, the patient came over, tapped me on the shoulder, and told me that they didn't even know that I was going to go to medical school, but they told me that I was going to be a great doctor one day because of the humanism that I showed for them. So that was a really beautiful experience, and it's one of the experiences that keeps me going. So medicine is a beautiful career, but it is very, very demanding. So if you truly have a passion for medicine, go for it. If you are still deciding, if you are in high school or if you are in college and you're looking for a career that gives you a decent salary, anything like that, you really have to look at why you're going into that career, because there are different ways to make money. A lot of people say, oh, doctors make a lot of money, which and to a certain extent can be true, but I can assure you that most doctors don't go into the field because of money. Because you can create a business and you can make more money than a doctor in 1 or 2 years. But if you are truly passionate about caring for people, I urge you to go into it. But you have to work really hard because it's very competitive. And aside from that, I think that if you kind of have an idea that you want to go into that field, but you don't know yet, it's okay. Like I said, I didn't even know I wanted to be a doctor until I was 25. And what I did was I became a scribe. So, I wanted to get exposed to the field, to see if that was going to be my passion, if that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, if you're in high school or if you're in college. It doesn't matter if you're 15, 20, 30, 40. It doesn't matter. But if there's a certain type of uncertainty, find little experiences that lead you to your ultimate goal. Because that's what happened with me. I ultimately was an engineer, but at that time, at the moment, I was satisfied. I was making a decent salary, but that wasn't my passion, and that was kind of what drove me to start doing different things, which led me to where I am now. And I can tell you that I am 100% happy, and I hope to come back to Imperial Valley and serve the community. I think that careers are a very important part of someone's life, but one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my 20s and in the past 20 years is that you gotta have the right people alongside you. Whether it's to your family, your friends, your partner, it's harsh to say sometimes, but if people sometimes don't support you, you have to cut them out. And it sounds harsh, but if you have the right support system, you really can do everything, anything that you want. I've been lucky in my life, that my family has always been supportive. I currently have a fiance who is the most beautiful person in the world, and she's very supportive. And I couldn't be doing this without her. So, and also I've been lucky enough that since high school and junior high, I've had a lot of friends. Some of them who have stuck with me for several decades or several years, and some others that we have parted ways. But that doesn't mean that they were bad people or that I'm a bad person. It's just you just have to pick and choose, because ultimately it's your path. It's not someone else's path. And as you carve your own path, there are people that are just gonna diverge. Not necessarily because they don't like what you're doing, but that's just your path. If you have to go, in my case, I have to go to medical school. I currently live in Ontario, which is 3 hours from here. There's obviously some people that I'm not going to be seeing in several years. So get the right people in your corner, and whoever already is, keep them there and appreciate them, and not only appreciate their support, but also support them in their things.